you're the Ward 1 local councillor. What does your average day for Rob Tyler-Morin look like? For those of you who don't know, he has a band named Two for the Show.
But at my gigs, I don't discuss traffic calming and overload.
You should.
You should.
Since you were, a wee lad, you wanted to go into politics?
Yes.
Who is the greatest band of all time? What does road calming mean? I didn't know you're named after Bobby Kennedy.
I was in Pickering Village for so many years. Probably one of the most unique areas of Durham region. Well, I've got a really quick story that you might find interesting.
And welcome, everybody. Indeed, welcome to another episode of TOA Talks Season 2. I'm your host, Sterling Lee. And with me today, we have a very special guest, the music man himself, Rob Tyler-Morin. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm good, and thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, Sterling. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. So, I just quickly want to talk about the music. How long have you been a musician for?
Since I always joke, since high school, so about 7 or 8 years.
Right,
So my whole life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of transferable skills, I'll say. Just dealing with people and a lot of the multinational companies across the whole country, all the way down to the local pub and rib fest and backyard parties and weddings. So you get to know people and you get to know what they believe in, what they like.
Right.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, he has a band named Two for the Show, a Durham region staple. When I moved to Ajax, one of the first things I was told about was you have to watch Two for the Show. And so, yeah, an incredible act. But we are here today to talk about your role on council.
Yes.
So you're involved in council. You're involved in all things Ajax. How long you've been in Ajax for?
We moved here in June 1992. Yeah, Lisa and I from Scarborough.
And why move from Scarborough to Ajax?
Yeah, we often ask ourselves because the GTA is a big place,
right.
And we contemplated moving to the beaches and maybe north of the city. But Lisa had a sister here, so we would come out and visit. We really liked the community. We liked what was going on and the vibe. So yeah, when we came out, but it kind of happened by accident. But,
And this was pre-kids, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, it was BC, before children.
Okay.
Yes, we always say.
Set that up. And then you have three beautiful daughters.
Yes, I do.
And now you have some grandchildren as well.
We do, yes. So we have Courtney and Jessica and Bridget, our 3 daughters, and they're married to nice boys. Well, not Bridget.
Not Bridget.
Not Bridget. She's still in university, but she is a nice boy as well. And now we've been absolutely blessed with 3 beautiful grandchildren, Presley, Carter, and Anthony. And it's a big one. That was a huge thing for us.
Like to become a grandparent?
Big thing, yes.
What's the biggest change in your life?
Emotionally and physically, and everything that you had was sort of getting tired, like your pool all of a sudden is relevant again.
Oh, you get that jolt of energy again, huh?
Huge
That
jolt
shot
of
in the
energy.
arm.
Yes, just absolutely. I mean, it's cliche to say I love my grandchildren, but it really
I
is.
hope you do.
Oh, I do. I don't think anybody knows
Right.
otherwise. But yeah, huge. Realize what's important, maybe what's not so important, and absolutely love it. But what a life lesson, and what a blessing.
Great.
Yeah.
So you are, you're the Ward 1 local councillor.
Yes.
You and I started both at the same time back in 2018.
We did.
What does your average day for Rob Tyler-Morin look like?
So I try to manage my time a little bit rather than being on for 24/7. I think it's better to put in, like your 8, 9, 10 hours of intenseness where you're completely available, you're working with staff. So first thing I do is, first thing in the morning, the phone comes on, meaning my town phone, the computer comes on, start going through emails, following up, that kind of thing. And then, of course, if we have community affairs and planning or general government committee or council meetings, you're reading agendas, getting prepped for that, meeting with Durham Regional Police, finding out about garbage. I absolutely, you get an education in this job. You learn about things every day. And that's one of the beauties of it. But yeah, so we try to be on all day and accessible.
Okay. And then there's your night job as well. It leads into that, right?
So that's the flow. That's fit fine so far. Somebody said, you never miss a gig, you never missed a meeting, which I haven't. So it flows quite well. I'm still in the area. It's not like I'm flying out to Miami or anything. I generally work within the GTA. So I'm back.
An institution within the GTA, I think it's fair to say.
Yes.
Right.
So it all fits quite well, and I'm, I thought that was what the way it was going to be, but now I know after a term and a half that it does all fit.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Back to Two for the Show.
Oh, okay.
And again, I have to ask.
Sure.
Again, it's my big embarrassment. I've told you this many times. I've never actually seen you play. After all this,
You're not missing much.
Well, I think you're being very modest. But I had a child generally when I moved into Ajax, and so I just didn't have time to actually see you during the
Yeah.
evenings or anything. So you have a partner, Al.
Yes, I do. Another Ajax resident, proud
Right.
Ajax resident.
How did you meet Al?
In high school.
And you both said, listen, we're going to start a band?
Yeah. Well, I've got a really quick story that you might find interesting.
Sure.
But this is a little bit going down.
Please.
Yeah. So when I was in grade 8, I was supposed to go to W.A. Porter. Some of you might know that, which was sort of on the west side of my home. And my dad said in late August, he said, why don't you go to Midland Collegiate, which was on the east side of my home. No computers. I called the school. She said, be here September 4th, 9 a.m. sharp, and bang, hung up the phone. So on the morning of grade 9, a friend of mine from way down the street on the east side said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to Midland. And I went to Midland Collegiate, and I met Al, my partner, and I met Lisa, my wife.
Oh, you met your wife in high school, too?
Yeah.
She's your high school sweetheart.
She is. So if
I
I
don't
would
think
have
I knew
went,
that. That's wonderful.
yes, if I would have went right out of my driveway, it might have been.
Is Al your best friend? Or just
Wow,
your,
we're talking
your
about
partner?
Al. Sure. Yes.
Like if you were to rank friends,
Yes.
was he your best man at your wedding, for example?
He was.
Oh, that's
And mine at his.
Oh, okay. So he is your best friend. That's okay. And you took Lisa to prom, presumably?
Yeah.
Did you guys date right out of high school or was it like post high school?
No. We were dating since we were 16 years old.
Who asked who out?
Oh, I think it would have been me.
Right. And when was
Yeah.
your first date? 16, like when you were
Oh,
16?
jeez, we were
Was it a
band
movie?
guys. They just come into the gigs and
All
that kind
right.
of thing, that kind of scene.
Was she was a groupie?
No, I was hers.
Okay, very
Yeah.
good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. Now, I have an affinity for older music, and so do
Yes.
you. Who is the greatest band of all time?
Oh, jeez. Well, if you're forcing me, I'll say Beatles till this day. And it's very simple. If we're talking about the Beatles, just pick up a guitar, and if you're learning guitar, and learn a Beatles song. And it takes you to a place that no other band will take you.
What about Zeppelin?
Oh, yeah, classic, amazing.
Do you think they're better than Zeppelin?
Yeah, because they're more innovative, where Zeppelin was more bluesy, took old American blues and turned it into rock and roll, did an amazing job with it. Classic
Who was the best
performance.
band of the 80s?
Of the 80s?
This is kind of your prime at this point.
Yeah, so
And why is it Bon Jovi?
well, I was going to say Bon Jovi.
Were you really?
Well, pure success, it would be Bon Jovi. Putting together
I don't know, Journey did okay.
great records. Oh, so many great. I
Right.
can't believe we're talking about bands.
Yeah, this
I
is.
was ready to talk about
I made up
traffic.
this whole. This is a whole. Plot.
I was
just
going to talk about
music with you.
traffic calming and
No,
graffiti and
We'll
overgrown
get to that.
trees.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So yeah, you truly think Bon Jovi is one of the best bands
I
of the 80s?
think so, yeah. When at the end of the day, but Bruce Springsteen was huge, and
Right.
all the whole punk new wave movement was amazing. The Police. We'll be talking about Sting and the Police in 100 years from now.
Will we?
I think so.
Because I saw
yes.
them live when they did the reunion tour, and they were not
there you
the
go.
best.
There you go.
They were a little rough
Okay,
around the
there you
edges, right?
Yeah, I've never seen them live.
Was that true?
Correct.
Look at me. I've seen the one band you haven't seen.
Well, no, but the thing is, if you're in the parade, it's hard to watch it.
What does that mean?
It means that I'm always working.
Were you working with the Police at the
No,
time?
I was working at my own gigs,
Right, right,
so I
right.
didn't have time to go see other gigs.
Okay.
So I do try and get out, but it's difficult.
What's the best band no one's heard of? Because again, you're in the industry.
Max Webster.
All right. Who's Max Webster?
Max Webster is Kim Mitchell,
Okay.
who some of you would know. Maybe some of the younger people wouldn't, but been very successful in Canada. And he had a band before that called Max Webster.
And they
which-
just were incredible music,
innovative,
incredible lyrics. Oh, okay.
different, really cool. Check him out, Max Webster.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then my last question on music, because
Yeah.
we do have a
We
list
do need
of-
to
We
move
have
on.
real questions. So
Yes.
to speak. Can I find two for the show on Spotify? Do you guys have a Spotify channel?
We do not, no. So we're a live act. And the best thing to do is visit twofortheshow.com. That's TWOFOR, the show, twofortheshow.com.
Okay. How'd you get that name?
Leonard Maltin movies book. Reviews of movies.
You ever played the Leonard Maltin game?
Have not, but I would.
So it's very quickly. You go through the Leonard Maltin book, right?
Yeah.
He used to have an annual book
Yeah,
of
the
movies.
thick paperback.
Yeah.
Loved it.
You pick a random movie, and then you pick. You read a brief synopsis in the year, and then going backwards, you bid on how many names you need to guess that movie.
Oh.
But you guess from the least famous actor to the most famous
Oh,
actor.
jeez.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness! You and I will play the
Yeah, I
Leonard
would
Maltin
love
game
that.
one day because I used to be really good at that game.
So I just looked up the word two, and then it popped up, and it described what we do. Two guys doing a show, two for the show.
Who was that movie? What was that movie?
Good question.
Do you know? Remember? No. Okay. No
No.
worries. Okay. So we got the music out of my system, and we're going to come back to that because I asked you to did you bring your guitar today?
I did not.
How dare you?
I did not.
How dare you?
But
We're going to jam. We're going to jam live.
But at my gigs, I don't discuss traffic calming and overgrown
You
trees.
should.
I
You should. Okay, so you and Regional Councillor Crawford are
Yes.
really the dynamic duo of Ajax Council. You guys
Thank
are
you so much.
Incredibly tight. And you have quite a few ward meetings, if I'm not
do.
mistaken. Like you guys kind of
do.
go through them often. What are some of the common themes brought up during these meetings? I think you brought up road calming's a big one.
Yeah.
What does road calming mean? I guess you and I understand that lingo, but if
Yeah.
you don't know, what
So-
is road calming?
Okay, so a couple things just to review what you just said. So yes, Marilyn Crawford and I work very well together. She's been a complete mentor to me, so I very, very appreciative of that, and has included me in a lot of things that maybe I wouldn't normally be included in. So my education is probably much wider than it could have been. So with that said, ward meetings are great. It's a way of us connecting. I think that we've got 3 or 4 that are mandated, and we kind of fill them in with 5 or 6 more. So we try to meet with our constituents. It's very simple. We add you to our email list. You come to the local McLean Center, and sometimes it's light, sometimes it's funny. A lot of times it's serious, and we bring in partners like our Durham Regional Police, or we'll bring in somebody from planning, and we really get into the issues. But we really enjoy meeting with residents face to face.
Sure.
So when we're at these meetings, it can be intense. It can be something about a recent crime, and where we bring in Durham Regional Police. There was a recent crime over in our ward, involved a shooting, and Durham Regional Police came in and were absolutely stellar.
Right.
In explaining it. You've done it at your ward meetings. I don't want to sound completely exclusive. You have your ward meetings as well. So that was one example. Another time we brought in somebody from the region to explain the new green bin and how you can put diapers in there now. But wait, that's not exactly how it works, and all the different things that involves that. If we leave it open, then yes, people do talk about speed and traffic. It's a bit of a frustration for me, getting a bit detailed here.
Please.
But when a residential street is 50 kilometers an hour, it's frustrating because it means that if you send in, or if you ask Durham Regional Police to do some radar and they come back, sometimes, a lot of times it'll come back lower than the residents might think.
Right.
If traffic comes back, we had one street that's measured at 50 kilometers an hour. It actually came back the 85% percentile at 39 kilometers an hour. Kind of took the wind out of our sails. So you got to be careful.
Well, because when you see a car driving past,
Yeah.
it's hard to conceptualize
So
what speed is.
Right, so answering your question, you're right. If you're watering your lawn and somebody goes by at 48 kilometers an hour, it kind of looks fast.
Right.
So to answer your question for our viewers, traffic calming can be anything from speed bumps to lines in the road to stop signs to enforcement and education. So it just means bringing people aware that they're speeding on here. And then the dreaded roll-through stop signs. Please know that if you roll through a stop sign and you get busted, it's 3 points for that.
It's 3 demerit points?
It's 3 demerit
I don't
points.
think I knew that.
We've all done it. We've all rolled through
Not
a
me.
stop sign.
I
except
tend
for
to
you
at all
and I.
times.
Yes.
I'm a very safe
So
driver.
Please be
but-
very careful.
Yes. Have you received any tickets? Are you know?
Personally?
Yeah.
Not yet. I drive.
You've never got any speeding tickets or
I'm going to
anything?
tell you something.
Please.
I drive at all times with my cruise control. All times. So if I'm coming through the village, I lock it at 52. If I'm on my street, I lock it at 40. I'm not kidding.
It's like Sammy Hagar says, can't drive 55.
Can't drive 55.
Can't drive it.
And it's slow. Sometimes you're just going and...
So you've never received a speeding ticket?
No, I've received a speeding
Oh,
ticket.
okay, that's what I was asking
No,
about.
not in modern history, like years and years ago.
So BC then, before children.
Before children.
Okay, that's
BC.
All right, that's great. Okay, so as a local councillor,
Yes.
what's some of the most rewarding aspects of your job?
That's a good question.
Yeah, like obviously
Yeah.
working with the living legend
We're
Sterling Lee
working
has
with
to be
the
like
living
a,
legend.
on top of the list. But after that, what is like some of the most rewarding parts of your job?
For me, when we all came out of high school, there was sort of 2 streams, and my friends were getting computer jobs and what we refer to in the music industry as real jobs. And we had the entrepreneurial spirit, probably stronger than I realized at the time, but now looking back, we were so driven to get gigs and hustle and develop relationships with major corporations and doing all the tier 1 sports properties across Canada and all that. And all of a sudden, when my political aspirations, which never went away, started to come to fruition and was able to bring it to fruition in 2018, it was so huge for me because it seemed like I jumped back into that arena that all my other friends went to.
Right.
Now I was over here. So it really, on a personal level, it made me realize that my potential was more than just my business.
Okay.
I wanted to do more. When I was said and done on this planet, I wanted to say, well, I didn't just entertain people, but I was able to help people.
So you mentioned political ambitions. I want to follow up on that.
Yeah.
Since you were, a wee lad, you wanted
Yeah.
to go into politics?
Yes.
Why is that?
For some reason, how detailed do you want me to get here?
Sure.
You want me to go for it?
Get some water, wet that whistle. It's digital. We don't have film anymore. We're
We're going
on.
ground zero.
Yeah.
We're going to go ground zero here.
So first there was nothing, and then the Lord.
My father worked at the Royal York Hotel for 50 years.
Okay.
And on the night that I was born in the morning, but the evening before, like 11 p.m., 12 p.m., my father was serving a very important party at Roof Gardens at the top of the Royal York Hotel. And it included the premier of the day. It also included the Attorney General of the United States. And that Attorney General was?
Bobby Kennedy,
Robert Kennedy.
only one I know.
Yeah. So he shook his hand, excused himself, went to the hospital, and said to my mother, you wouldn't believe who I just shook hands with. His brother had been assassinated in November. This was soon after. It was months after. And because I was born in July. And he said, Robert Kennedy. And she says, his name's Robert. So that's how I came into the world.
I didn't know you were named after Bobby Kennedy.
I was, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then later, I remember sitting in the chair with my dad, freaked out as President Nixon resigned from office. I watched it live. I was always, I knew that Ford never got elected. He was appointed vice president and then appointed president. Then Jimmy Carter had all his. I was just always right in there. And on the Canadian fronts too, because my father would bump into the prime ministers at the Royal York Hotel or the premier. So I was always abreast of the current goings on of politics. And I was always enamored with what everybody was doing ideologically, even at a very young age.
So my nickname for you has always been Robbie. But I think I have to change it to Bobby now, right? Because I didn't know you were named after Kennedy.
I was.
Did you ever see the movie 13 Days? It was a Kevin Costner film with Bruce Greenwood. It's about the Cuban Missile Crisis.
I would think I would have seen that.
Anyways, incredible film. You should check it out.
For sure. So not JFK.
He's in it, obviously, with
No,
Bobby.
but the movie JFK.
No, not
which
that
also
movie.
stars Kevin Costner.
Right. This is another one specifically on the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, I have to watch it. I'm sure I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, flying over Cuba, they showed. Anyways.
Yeah,
Was it
the spy
one?
planes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby and I both love movies, which is a great thing. Anything ward specific? Anything specific to Ward 1 you'd love your residents to know about? I think you mentioned one was recycling.
Yeah. So as far as one of the big things is the development in Pickering Village. That is absolutely huge. Infinitely respectful of the people that have been living in Pickering Village for so many years. It's a very sensitive area, but it's probably one of the most unique areas of Durham region. So there is a Pickering Village master plan, which I think for the most part, you might agree, spawns a conversation more than this is what we're doing. It's not so much this is what we're doing. It's more about what do you think we should do? What do you think? And I want to say now that we'll continue. There'll be lots of dialogue between myself and Marilyn with our constituents saying, what do you think? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Because, it can get difficult if you start to get overly analytical and,
Prescriptive and too detailed, right?
Too detailed, prescriptive, and certainly you don't want to get into, too much detail. But with that said, I think it's very important on this particular subject that we talk about everything in Pickering Village. Parking, the kind of businesses that are there now, what we see for the future, Pickering Village Arena, and certainly senior center comes up at all times. Whether there's some additional development there, that's very sensitive. Could it be something that older residents could eventually retire into? So it's exciting, it's scary, it's everything. But that's a massive part of what's happening for the future of Ward 1 specifically.
How about short term? So that's very long term. That's very much.
It is very long term.
How about anything short term that you want your residents to know about in Ward 1?
Well, there's some developments that, like for instance, 599 Kingston Road West, which is on the south east corner of Kingston Road and Church, which is the bane of our existence. There's no two sides to it. It's just something has to happen there. As you know, it's gone legal, as they say, so it really
Can't give too many details.
Can't get into too many details, but we can, vent our frustration.
And that is the we'll say 1/10 built, just concrete monstrosity that seems to have gone nowhere.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to get in too far,
But just we are keeping our eye on it is a very safe way to say.
yes,
And-
absolutely keeping our eye on it, working as far as we can. The renderings look decent with what's there.
Right.
But there's some challenges with the parking. Anyways, I don't want to get too detailed. That is a very current something that we're working on all the time,
Okay.
as much as we can. Yeah, that's a big one. And also property standards, like basic property standards. I know, like whether it's snow removal or whether it's grass removal or keeping garbage and clean. These are things that you work on every single day.
Right.
They're immediate. There's parts of, I just remembered. We are opening
Your favorite band is,
No, not my favorite band. But by the time this airs, I think the new dog park, off-leash dog park, will
nice.
be open at McLean's, so it's Miller's Park on the west side of McLean Center. And it's going to be a state-of-the-art off-leash dog park, but there's path reconstruction, lighting reconstruction, and a really fancy poo container.
Okay. What does state-of-the-art mean when it comes to a dog park? Isn't it just a fenced-off open area for dogs?
I like to think it's more than that.
Okay.
Because it's Ward 1.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah,
I just tapped my
it's funny. Yeah,
microphone.
I was in my interview. I was talking about the how ARC was the crown jewel of Ajax.
It's a
I
nice
kept
building.
using that phrase,
Yeah.
and it's just a community center, but it is nice. And hopefully the Pickering Village one will be the next crown jewel
Absolutely.
of Pickering.
ARC's a
of
beautiful
Ajax.
building.
It is.
It's a beautiful building.
It is. I spend a lot of my time there, having a 6.5-year-old.
Yes, and I hope that everyone in Ajax visits all three.
But specifically ARC, though, right?
ARC is beautiful.
No, I work out at McLean's, though. McLean's is a top-notch gym.
I love
It's been
McLean's. I
incredible.
take my grandkids there now. Well, Lisa does.
You swimming?
And I go by. No, I haven't done the swimming yet.
Okay.
But we do the play group. It's pretty cute. Yeah, they love it.
I'm supposed to ask you about your social media before that, because I love talking about you as an individual. What's your favorite movie, Rob?
My favorite movie, G1, G2, like Godfather.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, like hands down.
You failed to mention G3.
Yeah, it's part of the family.
But it's not really part of the family. It's like, you know.
I want to watch it. I want to like it more than I do. I watch it, but I've read the books, and yeah, it's a very, very special movie to me, Godfather.
Favorite TV show? They asked me mine, I said Breaking Bad. What was yours?
Oh, yeah, Sopranos, Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Yeah, 1A and 1B. Breaking Bad, I don't know if there's been a better arc to go
No,
from,
it's a heel turn, a complete
from the
villain.
nervous
Yeah.
high school teacher
To,
minimized, I am the danger.
Yeah.
The heaviest
Say
line.
my name. I
Yes,
love that
say
line.
my name.
I say it to my
I'm the
wife
danger.
daily, and she just.
Isn't it going to be dangerous? He goes, I'm the danger.
We could just again.
I
We
love
need
it.
to start a TV podcast
And
an entertainment
Sopranos.
Podcast. Yes,
Yeah, it's
Sopranos.
flawed, but, there's a lot there.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you on social media, Rob?
So, I think we've done a pretty good, in my end, as far as silos. So you can find me on Twitter.
So on Twitter. What about? Are you have?
Yeah, so Instagram, Rob Tyler-Morin on Instagram, and Councillor Rob Tyler-Morin. on
CLLR again.
No, the full Councillor.
You couldn't just get the same thing for everything
Well, got to be difficult.
Yeah,
And
fair
Councillor Rob Tyler-Morin on Facebook.
on Facebook.
So it's not so much that we're looking for followers. It's a great way if you follow the Town of Ajax on
Right.
all the platforms, and if you follow your local councillor or anybody on council, it's a great way to get information. So we're a phone call away, always, if anybody needs me, or an email's best, or, hard copies.
Perfect. Well, this has been a fantastic interview. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So this has been Councillor Rob Tyler-Morin, a.k.a. Bobby. My name is Sterling Lee, and thank you for another edition of TOA Talks. I'm Sterling Lee with the Town of Ajax TOA Talks podcast. Episodes can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and on our webpage, ajax.ca/TOA Talks. Listeners can download and listen to each episode online or offline from their personal device. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback about our show, you can email corporate@ajax.ca. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk later, Ajax.